Not looking forward to spending your summer mowing lawns? Doing chores for your parents? Or hanging around the house because all your friends are doing cooler stuff? Who wants the boring same old summer with overcrowded public swimming pools, melted ice cream sold from vehicles? Not looking forward to long, boring family car trips? Maybe you just need something better to do. Come to Camp Anawanna. We have activities for everyone. From caring camp counselors,
I have since decided that you will continue to be quarantined,
to the most engaging of other campers.
Welcome to camp. You must be the new kid.
Enjoy your summer at Camp Anawanna, tonight on Macabre'Gorium Labs, right now.
this thing came apart.
We gotta wanna live, wanna on!
Hey everybody, what's up, and welcome back to a very special edition of Macabre'Gorium Labs presents a showcase of things likely forgotten, Nickelodeon edition. I'm Bats, and I'm going to be your host today as we talk about one of my most favorite 1990s Nick properties with Salute Your Shorts. This thingy came apart, and when I tell you this episode's going to be special, trust me, you're going to want to stick around.
Nick. Nickelodeon. Nick. Nickelodeon.
Here at Macabre'Gorium Labs, Salute Your Shorts is one of our favorite shows, and we've been wanting to cover this topic for quite a while. We also had a ton of fun doing it. As usual, we're going to be discussing the details of how this show came to be before we pack our bags and head off to the legendary Camp Anawanna. Originally created by Steve Slavkin, Salute Your Shorts would be based on his 1986 book, Salute Your Shorts, Life at Summer Camp, which he co-wrote with Thomas Hill. After the success of shows like Double Dare, Nickelodeon was mainly known as the Game Show Network, as it didn't have a lot of in-house programming or in-house animation at that time. Then later in 1990, Nickelodeon started working to create original programming as they were trying to change their image and compete with the Disney afternoon.
Now, they decided to develop Salute Your Shorts as just a year before, in 1989, an animated show called Camp Candy premiered on NBC. But why does this matter?
Well, Goat, it matters, because Nickelodeon studies would show that kids had a major interest in properties based at summer camp. With this information, Nickelodeon smartly asked Steve Slavkin to write a television pilot, to which, thankfully, he immediately agreed. The pilot episode was filmed in March 1990 and was directed by Randall Miller and was filmed at Griffith Park Boys Camp in California, United States. It would premiere on Nickelodeon on October 6, 1990 as a television special. The cast for the original pilot would differ from the cast that we grew to know and love, but a few of the originals would remain behind. As for the cast of this original pilot, we had Ian Giotti as Michael, David Tom as Sponge, Terry Johnston as Dina, Alexandra Curran as Telly, Kelly Parker as Zizi, Danny Cooksey as Budnick, Michael Ray Bauer as Donkey Lips, and the legendary Kirk Bailey as Ugg. In addition to the kids being younger in the pilot, there were quite a few differences in the series. For example, it shows Michael coming to Camp Anawanna for the first time and introduces us to the campers. The pilot would show Budnick and Donkey Lips being bullies together, with Sponge and Michael getting caught up in one of their pranks. Michael had become popular with the other campers due to him hitting a home run in the camp baseball game. This would cause Budnick, who's already jealous of Michael, to have Michael and Sponge go into the girls' bunk and steal Telly's glasses. In the pilot, Ugg is more suspicious of Budnick and more on top of his activities than the series would ultimately show. He almost always catches Michael and Sponge in the girls' cabin, but they manage to make it out okay, relatively speaking. The glasses end up broken, so Budnick plants them on another camper. Just as the other camper is about to get in trouble in front of everyone, Michael stands up and takes the blame. Being a kid of the 90s, Michael doesn't tell Ugg that Sponge was there too, because he isn't a snitch. Michael apologizes to Telly, and of course she forgives him. She's given contacts with a new prescription that will actually help her see even better. He thought she would hate him, but she lets him know that if he hadn't told the truth, then she would have. She even jokes that now she only half hates him. The pilot ends with Michael and Telly heading out to play basketball together, laughing. There was such a positive response to this awesome show that Nickelodeon picked it up and turned it into a full series in February of 1991. The series would also be released on Nickelodeon, with propaganda films producing it. In the end, this show would be executively produced by Tim Clausen, Matt Lowe's, and Steve Slavkin. The camp was named Camp Anawanna as a play on the phrase, "I don't want to," with the series being called, obviously, Salute Your Shorts, not just because of the book, but also because it refers to a good-natured camp prank where a group of kids would steal another kid's boxers and raise them on the camp flagpole. Then kids walking by would salute your shorts, hence the name. Salute Your Shorts would release on July 4th, 1991 and would air through September 12th, 1992. There were a combined total of 2 seasons with 26 episodes total, and each one would run for approximately 22 to 24 minutes each. The cast for the actual series would change, however, upon completion because Danny Cooksey, Michael Bauer, and the legendary Kirk Bailey would reprise their roles. According to research, this was mainly due to the fact that some of the kids in the pilot had outgrown the roles they had previously played. The first 6 episodes of the series were filmed in April and May of 1991 with an amount of $180,000 per episode, which was considered low budget.
Now here in 2026, that $180,000 would be worth approximately $428,000 per episode. Still low budget.
This show came complete with its own iconic theme song, and it was composed by Ed Alton. The series would also be filmed with a single camera setup, meaning all the various shots for the show were taken with the same camera. And now that we know the background, let's get to know the cast. First up is Dr. Khan. Dr. Khan would be played by Steve Slavkin and is the camp director. Now during the show, we don't actually get to see Dr. Khan, though. We only get to hear his voice through the announcements over the camp's PA system. Next up is Kevin Ugg Lee, played by the legendary Kirk Bailey. Ugg is the camp counselor with the Ugg nickname meaning Ugg Lee. He is the classic nerd type, tall, lanky, usually wearing floral shirts, has zinc oxide on his nose, a vest, a whistle, a clipboard, and of course his iconic bucket hat. More on this in a minute. He often finds himself involved with busting Budnick's schemes and is pranked by other campers too. However, Ugg is a character with a heart of gold and he wears the heart on his sleeve and he loves the love of his life, Mona Tibbs. Ugg's actor Kirk Bailey would unfortunately pass away on February 28, 2022 at the age of 59 due to lung cancer. Bustin' campers in space. He is missed by all of his Salute Your Shorts fans. Back to the show. Next up, we would have Christine Cavanaugh as Mona Tibbs, Ugg's love interest. She is the very sweet but quirky male lady that is not a main character but does make an appearance in 2 episodes. In an effort to be closer to Ugg, Season 2 would see her return to the show as Ranger Tibbs. Her concern for the condition of the camp and her dedication to her job and the campers make her the perfect love interest for Ugg. Christine would retire from acting in 2001, but would, again, unfortunately pass away on December 22, 2014 from leukemia. She will be greatly missed. We lose so many. Before we head out to camp, let's get to know the campers, but it's important to note that each one of these characters would fall into some kind of stereotypical trope. So that being said, let's move forward. First up is Robert Bobby Budnick, as played by Danny Cooksey. Budnick is a wisecracking, usually involved in some scam, rock and roll loving bully type. However, he has been known to have a heart of gold and has been known to put his plans off to help other campers. One of Budnick's favorite activities is to mess with the counselor Ugg and the new kid, Michael. As of 2026, Danny Cooksey has become a well-known voice actor, and musician with his band, bad for good. Michael Stein, the new kid, would be played by Eric MacArthur. Michael is shown to be athletic, nice, a bit naive, and awkward, not to mention the object of Budnick's pranks and Dina's crush. Michael is well liked by the other campers, has good morals, and will even stand up to Budnick when pressured. After the show, Eric became a well-known voice actor and is also a director. Trevor, or Tim Eister, would play Sponge Harris the nerd. He earned the nickname Sponge as he's not known to be very smart, but he has a sponge-like brain to soak up information. However, he does come through with random useful knowledge at seemingly just the right time. He always hangs out with Budnick and Donkey Lips, often being the one that gets in trouble for all their schemes. Trevor would take a break from acting, but has since returned as of 2013 in short films and guest appearances. He would also make the miniseries Spongy Leaks to educate and help elderly, disabled, or dependent adults that are being mistreated. Next up, Venus DeMilo as Telly Radford, the athletic, no-nonsense tomboy. Telly joins in pranks against the counselor Ugg a lot. Her strong personality and ability to speak up make her the perfect one to stand up to Budnick and against his schemes. Now an adult, you can find Venus directing and producing audiobooks and acting. She's also into educating others about the challenges and changes in Hollywood. Next up, Dina Alexander, played by Heidi Lucas, as the stuck-up, rich, hot girl that most of the boys have crushes on at one time or another. She is very ambitious and often acts like the leader as she wants to be bunk chief. Dina can be bossy and thoughtless sometimes, but she really does care about the camp and her friends. Plus, she isn't above getting into some good old camp hijinks from time to time. As of 2026, per our research, we found that Heidi would go on to become a successful family law attorney in Arizona after leaving acting behind. Next up, ZZ Ziff, played by Megan Berwick. She's the overly helpful, nature-loving type. She's always trying to teach the campers about recycling and how to protect nature. ZZ is usually considered the voice of reason as she often tries to keep the other campers out of trouble. But she is a bit flighty and out of touch with the other kids. However, like Dina, she gets into the camp fun and schemes too, especially if she can do something for the planet at the same time. As of today, Megan now has a master's degree in international political economy. Much like the character she played, Megan spends her time focusing on environmental and social issues. And finally, a friend of mine, Michael Ray Bauer, would play Eddie, Donkey Lips Gelfin, Budnick's accomplice. He's the stereotype of the overweight funny kid, a bit goofy and often bullied by Budnick, Sponge, and even Michael. While Donkey Lips is usually part of Budnick's pranks, as the show goes on, his true sweet nature is revealed and he starts to stand up for himself and the other campers. He also has a major crush on Dina. As of 2026, Michael is still an actor, YouTuber, and avid Raiders fan, and you can find his channel right here on YouTube, linked in the description. But now we know about the cast of this show, let's move on to the...
Hey, Batch! If you're going to talk about my show, you're going to get the info from me.
It's Michael Ray Bauer! Here on our show! You know what? I've been waiting for this. I'll be right back. I got this.
12 seconds later.
We have a very special guest with us tonight, so please welcome Michael Ray Bauer to the show.
Nice to meet you. I thought you might actually be a bat.
Nope, try as hard as I might. It just hasn't happened yet. So, first up, what have you been up to lately? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a vampire. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I've never been asked that before. Tell me about your show. It sounds like a dating service. Hey, would you like to date me, Batch? I thought you were married. Tell me about your show. Wow. I don't know. I love football. I love classic TV. I love science fiction, romance, comedy movies. You wouldn't think the simplest of questions would have stumped me. I am never asked that question to explain like who I am. That's insane. I think I'm still trying to figure it out at 49 years of age.
you ain't the only one.
I'm telling you, life is like a box of chocolates. It always melts.
Truer words have never been spoken. And I know you've been in a lot more than just Salute Your Shorts, so for our fans like us that are forever stuck in 1992, what are some of your favorite other roles that you've taken?
Well, I started my career working with Quincy Jones in a Michael Jackson project called Moonwalker. That was in the late 80s. But other projects that I'm known for, it would have to be like Wonder Years, because that was a big, favorite for everybody. And I'm in like one episode of every season of Wonder Years.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how I'm a different character every year on Wonder Years. So, you're like, wait, in one episode he's named this guy, and then in another episode the next year he's this guy. And then it's just really, really interesting to think about. But the creatives that created the Wonder Years, I auditioned for a few roles in it, but they really loved me, but I didn't fit one of their character types. And then also the creatives and the casting directors, they helped start Salute Your Shorts as well. That's right, the casting directors were associated with our show as well. So they always like to have cameos. And when you watched Wonder Years, they had a lot of cameos from semi-popular people, like the guy from Friends, Ross or David Schwimmer, and stuff like that. And then that's what Friends did as well. Friends had all the cameos, and I was able to be on Friends. That's another project I'm very recognizable from. I played Monica Geller's boyfriend in all the high school flashback episodes of Friends show. Yeah, there's been a few nostalgia things that I've done that are pretty amazing. X-Files, James Cameron's Dark Angel. But, we're talking the 90s. Man, you'd have to look up my resume. I can't remember everything at the moment. Like I said, I'm a vampire.
Well, thanks a lot. Now I'm going to have to go rewatch the entire series. But at some point we're thinking about covering your movie Evolution. You think we can get you on board for that?
Cool. Yeah, I'll do that for you. That's another project that was like a dream come true job, man.
Dude, that'd be totally rad. We are totally looking forward to it.
Yeah, no worries. I'll be here for you, brother. That's another project that was like a dream come true job, man. Working with, the man, the myth, the legend, Ivan Reitman, rest in peace. Like, when I got that job, man, I'm a fanboy. Like, everything I work on, I'm a fanboy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the guy that created Ghostbusters. This is the guy that helped make Stripes. This is, John Belushi's, mentor. Animal House. I'm like, Ivan Reitman. So, but, yeah. Too bad it tanked.
Yeah, well, so when it comes to acting, do you have any particular technique that you like to use?
Faking it. That's what acting is. It's faking it. It's trying to come up with a character and then not being yourself. But if there's a special technique, some people are just born funny, and I don't mean funny looking. Some people are just, I don't think you are. Some people are just born funny with comedic timing and talent, or they're always the class clown or whatever it may be. And generally, most actors that you see are actually really well educated, and you have to take a lot of classes, and you have to learn how to breathe, because you are going to have butterflies, you are going to have nerves. You have to learn how to memorize scripts. You have to learn how to act and perform while you're reading a script for the first time, before you even had a chance to break it down. These are all the techniques that, a lot of people need to learn.
Valuable advice.
Some of them learn on the fly. Some of them get a job in a movie, like out of nowhere, like Edward Furlong in Terminator, and then they build a career from that. And he didn't go to acting schools. He just got recognized, and all of a sudden he's starring in a movie. And he did a decent job. But there are people like me that I was in acting school from like 1985 until I really got my first job in 88. So I was in school for basically 3 years, technically learning skills before I even became like accredited actor. And then I was also in Glee Club, And that's how I kind of met the agents to become an actor. So I was studying acting for many years, and it still went on for a good plenty years, man. But I need to go back. It sounds really stupid, but if I'm going to make a comeback in any sense, I need to get off my butt and go back to acting school and do it, once or twice a week and get those skills back, and it'll show when I have an audition for a movie. It'll show.
I know I only act in YouTube videos, but it is quite a feat, and you guys make it look easy, and that's great advice. You were cast as Eddie Donkey Lips Gelfin on 1992's Salute Your Shorts. Can you tell me what getting cast on that show was like?
It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, to think that you're getting on your own show with an ensemble cast, and you're going to be able to, basically, we were like, most of us were teenagers, if not right around that age. So it was great. It's great to get cast. But the way that went about was a little bit weird, because we filmed so we did the original auditions, and we did a pilot, for hopefully the show to get picked up. So we did the pilot, and it was great. It had a whole different cast. And so my auditions for that one, it was just great. I got casted. I met everybody. We filmed the pilot. Then all of a sudden, it didn't get picked up. Then I think like 8 months later, you need to audition for, my agent calls me, you have an audition for a show called Salute Your Shorts.
I guess they like you so much they cast you twice.
I'm like, an audition? I already did it. I was the star of it already. And then I'm like, okay. So I walk into now this is the second come around, and I walk in, and the producers and the directors that already directed me and casted me for the pilot, when I walk in the audition room, they're like, Michael, what are you doing here? I got an audition for the show I'm already on. So I was a little nervous, like, was I being fired? Was I fired from the pilot or whatever? And then the writers and the producers are just like, Michael, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I'm here now. Can I do the audition again? But it was a little bit of a different script this time. So I did it. I guess the new people in the room enjoyed what they saw, so they went back to Nickelodeon. Then I got the job again. Then they brought back Danny Cooksey. They brought back Kirk Bailey from the pilot. And then they brought back some other cast members. But so we were the three originals that came back from the initial pilot. And it was just it was an interesting process. It was weird. It's like, did they want me? They didn't want me. Was I fired? I don't know if I was fired. How did I get the audition again? But it worked out. It was a blessing in disguise.
I know us here at the labs are happy it worked out that way.
But yeah, it was great to get hired. I mean, when you're that age, and every time you get a job, it's a wonderful feeling. Because if you made it your dream to become an actor and to get jobs on TV shows, you think every time you get a job, like, oh, my life is going to change from here on out. And I had an agent who, every time I booked a job or a gig, she would call me and she would ring a bell. So if I had an audition, maybe 3 or 4 auditions that week or whatever, all of a sudden I'd get a phone call, I'd be like, hello, Arletta? And then I'd hear the bell. And then my brain would go, I booked something. I'm going to make money for my family. I booked something. And then she would tell me, oh, you booked the commercial, or you booked this or that. And that was a good feeling. So when I got Salute Your Shorts, instead of the bell, because it was like my first series that had an initial run of 13 episodes, they told me to come into the office. And they made it sound very, very scary, like something was wrong. And then when I went into the office, all the agents were there, and they had like a big old gift basket, like of chocolate and everything. And they go, congratulations, you're starring in your first series for Nickelodeon. So it was a wonderful moment in my life that I'll never forget.
You basically just described the dream of every 1990s kid that has ever existed. Okay, perhaps we better move along. Was working on the show like working on a set, or was it more like an actual summer camp?
Oh, technically, when you're hanging out with a bunch of cast members that are young and, doing hijinks, the hijinks are not only on screen. It's definitely like a camp, to be safe. Plus, we were filming at locations outdoors, kind of campy, and we were doing camp activities in the episodes. So, yeah, it was like a camp. I didn't have that much experience with real camps in life, except for Fat Camp. Just kidding. But I did go to one real camp before we even filmed that show called Camp Max Strauss. So that was really, really interesting. But yeah, to think of it, yeah, it was our own Salute Your Shorts Anawanna camp, like behind the scenes. But we had a lot of adults as well, so you can imagine their camping experiences and what they were getting into. It's a lot of little side stories going on. He's dating her, he cheated on his wife. What? I don't know. And me and the other kids, we're just like, I don't know, let's just eat some hamburgers and have a good time and have a food fight.
Yeah, those food fight scenes sure did look like they got pretty messy.
Yeah, they love the food fights. And it sucks when it's always the bad food. It's always like canned corn, the vegetable medley in a can, the tomato soup, the hamburgers. I don't know what they were. I think they went to the local high schools or elementary schools and literally took their food. Because it was worse than high school food. And sometimes the frozen meat patties that we had on set were not even thawed. So we're having a food fight. We're ending up throwing frozen meat patties accidentally, hitting the extras in the head. We got cream corn flying all over the universe. And the director says, keep going! Keep going! Because you can only film a food fight once. So keep fighting! And then there's punches thrown. People start getting mad, throwing down their shirt, people getting fights with each other.
I know on the show there were friendships and rivalries, but what was that like when the cameras were off?
It's like a family. I mean, we all love each other. We all love each other at first. We're all getting along. And then we start to learn about each other. Do we have similar hobbies? When we go home, what do? Do we play video games? Do we watch movies? And we had to go to school every day in a trailer for like 3 or 4 hours every day. So we were constantly in school, getting to know each other. But then after a while, like I said, if the day is long, you didn't get enough sleep, whatever the case is, people have issues. Then, the volatility comes out and they have a bad day. They might get in a fight. Then you're mad for a day or two. But at the end of the day, we all became like a family. I mean, that's honestly what it is. It's like a family. We still talk to each other. Not every day, not every month, but we're all really cordial. And we're like a holiday relationship, like where we see each other on events or holidays.
You mentioned one time over on your channel that filming Salute Your Shorts was a comedic hell for the late, great actor Kirk Bailey. Can you elaborate on some of the kind of things he went through during filming of the show?
Yeah, well, Kirk Bailey is the physical comedian of the show. He's sort of like the Jim Carrey of the show, and he has to do a lot of physical activity and stuff like that. And he was a little bit older. People might have thought he was like 25 or 30, but he might have actually been like in his mid-30s or whatever. I'm not exactly sure the age, but he had a lot of physical comedy. And he had to do a lot of stunts and things where he injured himself, cut his hand on like a light fixture in one of the scenes where he has to quickly turn off the lights or turn on the lights. There was a metal piece that cut his hand. He throws a heart meant for Mona, his girlfriend, in an episode of Big Wooden Heart, and then it flies and the wind hits it and somehow it comes back like a boomerang and it hits him in the face. And then he had to jump in a lake to get the wooden heart back in that episode. And then after it already hit him in the face and they filmed him throwing it into the lake, then he dives into the lake to get it back in the episode, and then he busted his eardrums, both of them, and they were bleeding from the side. And there was I'm sure there was many more that I'm just not thinking about, but boy, he went through the ringer. And then he had to hang upside down in the Zeke the Plumber episode. So blood was rushing to his head. I mean, that boy's a trooper.
Rest in peace, Kirk Bailey. Damn. So was filming the show as dangerous as it looked?
Yeah, I mean, I injured myself for life on one of the shows. It was the Cursed Skull episode, where there's a skull like of a cow, and then the boys supposedly steal the skull, and we put it in they put two wooden sticks in a cassava melon, and then they put like a pillowcase or something around it, and then we're wearing toga uniforms, and we're like blessing the Cursed Skull in our cabin or in our bunk, and we're dancing in toga outfits, all dirty, and then the one character's holding the melon with the two sticks, but it's supposed to be the skull, and we only find out it's not the skull in the episode later, but I had to bend down and do like a greeting, and unfortunately the dang pillowcase and the wooden stick, when we were dancing, the stick kind of came out of the pillowcase a little bit, like with a sharp point. So then I bent down to do our little dance, and then I had to go like this, oh, bless the Cursed Skull, and I went like this, and the stick, some part of it or the pillowcase scratched my eye, and now I have a permanent like line wherever I look the rest of my life. I got like a little black line. But we didn't know that happened at the time. They just knew that my eye kind of puffed up and got red, and then they were pouring, not Vaseline, whatever that stuff is. And yeah, it wasn't bleeding or anything. So they're like, we think you're okay. Is everything good? They're like, we're not going to film it again. We already got it. Let's just look at Michael's eye. And truth is, I should have, or we probably should have went to an eye doctor right away. But again, I kept telling him, oh, it's fine. Like, I can see, there's no problems. It just feels a little red. And then I guess probably a month later, it healed. But then it healed with a line. You know what I mean? So then I didn't know till like a month or two later. I probably should have got surgery, but I'm afraid of doctors.
You're not alone, let me tell you. I am too.
I could have made them pay for it, because it was technically their responsibility. But I didn't know at the time. I didn't know it was that bad. It just came out later in life.
And I know from watching your channel that there were a few secrets on the Salute Your Short set. You got any you can share with us here at the labs?
Secrets, okay. So, there's, what are they called? Rubber chickens in every episode with like a cigarette in its mouth. I don't remember if it's always lit. I don't think it was, because that would have brought notice to it from the directors or other people when they were hiding it. But there is a cigarette in every episode in a rubber chicken's mouth. Because we found it, we literally didn't find it till like probably 6 episodes in of the first season. The cast members were like, I keep seeing that rubber chicken. And we're like, oh, you left it. And then, the gaffers, the crew, the staff, don't tell nobody nothing. So we're like, all right. So they let us in and they let us know. So we, as actors, kept it quiet. Then we started trying to sneak in our own things here and there, but we couldn't get away with it, because then it would become too obvious that 5 different actors are trying to sneak things into every episode. So it was a little weird and tedious. But I do remember, we had a food fight one day, and it was the weirdest thing, because there was 5 rubber chickens now on set that day. And, each of the crew members had one, and they were hiding it and everything. Then, crew members throw food sometimes too, because even the actors are not throwing correctly. So they have other people that throw food, to make it look big in front of the camera. And then I remember we were doing the food fight, and we could only do it once. And then the people that watch the food fight, they stay far away with plastic, and they stay kind of far away. And then the crew members are in there, they're throwing the food as well. And then all of a sudden we did the food fight. Then I just remember, a chicken here, a rubber chicken there, a rubber chicken over my head. And we had to keep going. And then the directors didn't even realize it. So it's in the episode of one of the food fights. But I don't I gotta go back and watch it again. With the HD technology, it wasn't very good. It's not 4K. So I gotta see if we can see these chickens going across, because we only filmed it once, and they edited the episode with that footage. So, but yeah, there was like 5 rubber chickens, and some of the extras that were getting hit, like, what the hell is this chicken for? They're like, throw it. It was kind of funny, man. Really, really funny to see.
So what does the future hold for Michael Ray Bauer?
It holds my life in its hands. It holds better days ahead. It holds a beautiful woman having my baby. It holds the resurrection of Nickelodeon and Donkey Lips into an actual human being named Michael Ray Bauer.
Well, I suppose we can dream, right?
I'm going to be doing movies and YouTube for the rest of my life. I'm okay with it. I'm humble enough to say it. And I hope when I die, people go, you know what? I'm actually going to miss that motherfucker.
Well, Mikey, it was totally rad having you on the show, and I'm glad you could stop by. But now I think I better continue with this history video. Otherwise, this thing's going to be like 4 hours long. But do feel free to pop in and out as I continue. Hey, you may not have known, but this interview was actually over an hour long, and you can find it over on our Patreon. Link down in the description. And we'll even put an abridged version of the interview right here on YouTube. But for now, I'll let you get back to the video. And now that we have our bags packed, let's head over to Camp Anawanna and see what these episodes were actually about. The series would be filmed at Franklin Canyon Park and Griffith Boys Park in Los Angeles, California, United States. And most of the episodes would take place in or very near the campers' cabins. Like the pilot, the show's first season would center mainly around Budnick trying to show Michael that he's the top dog at the camp. Their combative dynamic affects the other campers as well, as they often get caught up in Budnick and Michael's pranks and schemes as well. Before we begin, it is important to note that it was very difficult to find an accurate list of the names of the episodes, due to several of the episodes having multiple titles. The following is the most accurate version of the list we could find. Season 1 begins with First Day. This episode is basically a remake of the pilot with some extra steps. We are officially introduced to Michael as he's arriving to camp for the first time. Enter Bobby Budnick, who says he's the camp greeter and welcomes Michael to camp as only Bobby Budnick can, by stealing his boxer shorts and running them up the flagpole for all to salute. I see what they did there. Clever. Like the pilot, there is the baseball game, with Michael getting into a fight with Budnick. Budnick and Donkey Lips get Michael and Sponge to go into the girls' cabin and steal ZZ's diary, Dina's makeup, and Telly's glasses. See? Extra steps. But hey, at least they didn't opt in for the panty raid. It is Nickelodeon after all.
Dentato.
Oh wait.
Dentato. Defeat.
Episode 2. Zeke the Plumber. What would camp be without a legendary ghost story? And this legend is far from forgotten. One of Camp Anawanna's haunters is none other than Zeke the Plumber. Budnick and Donkey Lips prank the other campers after scaring them with the story. Not to worry though, Ugg ends up pranking Budnick by dressing up as Zeke the Plumber and getting him back. Episode 3, Treasure of Sarah Madre. The camp is all abuzz with rumors of Sarah Madre, a deceased dance teacher. Budnick tricks the campers into trading their stereos for treasure maps to find Sarah's treasure hidden at the camp. After figuring out Budnick's scheme, the campers trick Budnick and Donkey Lips into digging a hole in the baseball field. Of course, Ugg is upset, however only Budnick has to face the consequences. Episode 4, I Hate Camp. Ugg and ZZ go on a hike to identify plants. Meanwhile, camp bully Thud Mackey picks on Michael. In the end, Michael faces Thud one-on-one, and this ends up with Michael getting a punch right in the face. Episode 5, Telly and Dina. The girls are supposed to elect a bunk chief for the summer, and both Telly and Dina want the position. ZZ is stuck in the middle, not wanting to hurt either of her friends. As punishment, the boys have to make pies, but the girls end up using the pies in their fight, and the boys get blamed. In the end, the girls decide that ZZ should be the bunk chief. Episode 6, Telly and the basketball team. In this episode, Telly is coaching the camp basketball team, the Tigers, for the upcoming championship. Her strategy? Work hard and win. You go, Telly. The other campers follow Budnick. What they don't know is that he's cheating. Although Budnick is led on the field during the final game, he loses it for the Tigers, but also loses his entire stash of candy in the process. Episode 7, Sponge Saga. In this episode, there's a radio show contest that involves answering 3 questions correctly throughout the day to win $1,000. That was big money back then. Hijinks ensue when Ugg and the girls get involved in the contest as well. Sponge doesn't know the final answer, but Ugg does, and gives it to Sponge at the last minute, winning the contest and the $1,000, while Sponge thinks he gets the money. However, Ugg takes it to fix his face that the boys turned blue. Episode 8, Cheeseburgers in Paradise. This episode is a ton of fun. Budnick is busted by Ugg selling outside food to the other campers, and after Ugg eats all of Budnick's items, Budnick decides to get hamburgers from outside of camp. Meanwhile, Sponge and Donkey Lips are trying to make weight to qualify for a wrestling match. At one point, Sponge and Donkey Lips are sent to the hamburger stand with the money. In the end, the kids get their burgers, and Sponge and Donkey Lips make their weight and win a lobster dinner. Episode 9, The Clinic. One of the dreaded camp activities is the mandatory instructional swimming. With this in mind, Budnick and Michael decide to fake being sick. What they don't know is Ugg is surprising the campers with a trip to the nearby beach. Budnick gets the key to the ice cream fridge and the boys pig out. In the end, Ugg walks in extremely sick after jumping into the ocean upon reaching the beach the night before. Episode 10, Night at the Theater. Camp Anawanna is putting on a play of Cinderella. Dina, of course, is chosen to play the lead of Cinderella, with Michael as Prince Charming. Dina starts freaking out as she realizes her crush will be at the play. In a weird twist, Michael, who has been obsessing about kissing Dina, chickens out at the last minute, shaking her hand instead. What a weenie. We end with Dina's crush bringing ZZ flowers at the end of the play. Episode 11, Dina Loves Donkey Lips. In this episode, Dina is trying to get Michael to take her to the camp dance. She uses a love note, however, and it mistakenly goes to Donkey Lips instead. Donkey Lips has a crush on Dina, which causes him to believe Dina actually likes him too. In the end, Donkey Lips talks to Dina and confesses he knew the note wasn't for him, he just really hoped it was. Episode 12, Ugg's Girlfriend is Coming. In this episode, we get to meet Mona Tibbs, the mail lady. Ugg gets a letter from his girlfriend Rachel saying she's coming for a visit. However, the next day, Ugg receives another letter from Rachel informing him that she's dumping him instead of showing up. Ugg becomes very depressed and just seems to give up on doing anything. And in an effort to help Ugg, they introduce him to Mona. After talking to the boys for a while, Ugg finally realizes that, of course, Mona is great. It's nerd love at its finest. It ends with the two making future plans to see each other again. You go, Ugg. Episode 13, ZZ Saves the Planet. This time, ZZ wants the campers to help clean up the camp. So she hosts an environmental party, but the kids are more interested in partying and eating snacks than actually helping out. In order to get them interested, ZZ lets them know that if they recycle, they can get the money to have fun or even go to a water park. The other campers are immediately interested and they help clean up. However, in a weird twist, thanks to ZZ, on the day they're supposed to go, they end up buying a maple tree instead. So that was season 1, and let me tell you what a season it was. But now, let's move on to season 2. But season 2 would mix things up a little bit, because it would come with a new cast member. In this season, we are introduced to the new character, Ronnie Pinsky, played by Blake Soper, aka Blake Sennett. Pinsky is an athletic, arrogant know-it-all that is trouble like Budnick. He also likes to pull schemes and pranks, much to Budnick's irritation. There can be only one. Nowadays, Blake has left acting behind and decided to be a musician. He would become the lead guitarist for the popular indie rock band Rilo Kiley, which is still performing to this day. Episode 2-1, Goodbye Michael, Hello, Pinsky. In this episode, we find out that Michael has chickenpox and won't be returning to camp. Instead, Ronnie Pinsky comes to camp. Ugg worries that the other campers might have chickenpox too, so he quarantines them in their cabins. The other campers like Pinsky, but Budnick, he's not so happy as camp isn't big enough for two pranksters. Like I said, there can be only one. Episode 2-2, The Man Who Would Be Ugg. It's upside down week at camp, so Budnick gets to be camp counselor with Ugg becoming a camper. Of course, Ugg gives Budnick a deservedly hard time, and Budnick just punishes everyone according to the rule book, to which the campers are driven to seek revenge. After several crazy pranks, they prove to Budnick that being a counselor is in fact hard. Also, during this storyline, Zizi gets a frog that she enters into a frog contest and wins. Episode 2-3, Telly and the Tennis Match. Telly is trying to beat Scotty Rex, but she can't, so she tries to get a new racket. Budnick gives her a metal racket in exchange for a favor to be named later, which in my experience never turns out good. Budnick bets on the rematch and asks Telly to throw it. Otherwise, he will owe money that he doesn't have. However, Telly decides that she isn't going to listen to Budnick, doesn't care, and wins the match. Episode 4, Dina and the Rockstar. Dina, trying to seem cool to the other campers, lies about knowing a famous singer, Jamie Mallet Jr. She promises he will play at the annual camp dance. When Jamie shows up at the dance, the campers are all starstruck except Pinsky. In all the chaos, Dina's lie is exposed and her crush likes Zizi. Episode 2-5, Clan of the Cave Girls. It's a hot day at Camp Anawanna, and the girls are fighting, but the boys aren't for once. Budnick goes to the sacred caves and steals a cow skull. Ugg tells him to get rid of it, and there's a curse. The boys use it to form a secret society, the Order of the Skull. The girls return the skull to the cave, but get stuck there for the night. The girls then make a secret society, the Clan of the Cave Girls. The next two episodes provide the only two-parter episodes in the entire series, and they just happen to involve the romantic story between Budnick and Dina. I wonder if this went off-screen, too.
There was a little bit of puppy love, though, between a couple of the cast members. Maybe the bad guy and the beautiful girl. Maybe there's a little bit of puppy love going on. Maybe that was the inspiration for Dina Loves Budnick. Well, yeah, there was a couple of episodes called Dina Loves Budnick, but the truth is, Dina was meant for Donkey Lips. That's why she fell in love with Donkey Lips. After Budnick, I was her true heir.
Oh my gosh. Episode 2-6, Budnick and Dina in Love, Part 1. Budnick confesses to Pinsky that he likes Dina and wants to invite her to the camp social. Budnick confesses to Pinsky that he likes Dina and wants to invite her to the camp social. After asking Dina, she says no and runs off. Budnick looks for her so they can talk as he's trying to be a better person and wants her to know that he's trying to change. They do start talking, and it turns out Dina's glad that he's trying to be a good guy now, and her and Budnick get into a rowboat to continue talking. Continued in Part 2. Episode 2-7, Budnick and Dina in Love, Part 2. We flash forward a little bit, and Budnick and Dina are dating now, but Budnick is trying to be someone he thinks Dina wants instead of who he actually is. Later, Budnick stops a food fight, and Dina isn't happy. Dina says she would rather have the old Budnick as her boyfriend, so she tries to get him to break up with her. It's only when she suggests a haircut that Budnick finally stops her and says he wants to break up, much to Dina's delight. Episode 2-8. Sponge's Night Out. When Sponge is granted a separate phone line in order to use the internet on his very fancy computer, all the other campers find out, and it's an immediate rush to exploit it. In the end, Pinsky figures out how to call people through Sponge's computer and ends up setting up a date for him and Sponge. So when they end up at the theater, it doesn't really work out because Ugg shows up and the campers have to hide but don't get caught. However, in the end, Sponge is caught by the other campers getting a little smooch for himself at the phone booth back at the theater. Episode 2-9, Citizen Pinsky. Sponge is distributing the camp newspaper, but the other campers say it's boring. It must suck to make some kind of media that nobody watches. What? Eventually, Pinsky tells Sponge that he needs to jazz it up a bit if he wants more readers. Pinsky takes over and features rumors, gossip, and sensational stories. In the end, Pinsky learns his lesson before anybody gets hurt. Episode 210, Capture the Flag. Donkey Lips wants to be on the camp Capture the Flag team as an attacker instead of a defender he's always been. When the attackers are pinned down, they get Donkey Lips to help. With strategy, thanks to Pinsky, they win and throw water balloons at Budnick. Episode 211, They Call Me Miss Tibbs. Ugg's girlfriend Mona comes to the camp as a park ranger to be closer to Ugg and to inspect the camp. Ugg thinks she will go easy on them, but Mona is a straight-up, by-the-book, no-nonsense ranger. The boys try to keep them from fighting while the girls find out Budnick's scheme to shut down the camp, and at the end, Mona transfers to weights and scales but does reconcile with Ugg. Episode 212, The Wrath of Con Jr. Dr. Con's niece Ellen, who is, we'll just say, troublemaker, shows up at the camp and gets on the other campers' nerves quite quickly. It turns out Ellen doesn't get in trouble for any of her misdeeds, and the campers are frustrated because they do. Ugg and the campers eventually team up to prank Ellen, and they pull it off, and in the end, Ugg is not in trouble. Episode 213, the series finale, Anawanna Incorporated. For the last episode, we would see the campers forming a birdhouse company for Career Week. Meanwhile, Sponge is getting items ready for a time capsule with Ugg helping him. Only a couple of people order the birdhouses and the others bail on the company. However, Donkey Lips triumphs in the end, getting all of the company shares and making a profit for himself. Hey, Mikey, if you're still around here, I got a question for you. There were 26 episodes. Did you happen to have a favorite?
Oh, well, to be honest with you, was the finale. Because I'm pretty sure this is the finale where Donkey Lips became the CEO of the birdhouse company, and he proved to be like a businessman. He proved to know how to work with a team, build a team to earn money, and he created a company for the camp, selling the birdhouses. And it was like Donkey Lips came into his own, and it was the final episode. Because from the beginning of the first episode with Donkey Lips, he's just a sheep. He does whatever Budnick tells him. He's a bully. He's a this. He's a that. Then you watch the progression to where he starts to face Budnick's character. Then he starts to befriend Sponge and learn a little bit about computers and business. Then he kind of gets the girl to like enjoy his company. And then, like I said, by the end, and then in Capture the Flag episode, he saves the entire team from, being crushed, and they win. And then in the final episodes, I become the CEO and like a winning person compared to everybody else on the show. You saw a future for Donkey Lips. You didn't really see a future for Budnick. You didn't really know the future for Dina. ZZ might have had a future in, not politics, but like saving the world. But honestly, when you think about it, you don't see a future for a lot of the actors besides Donkey Lips and ZZ. It's kind of interesting to think about it.
Yeah, I don't really think people understood how impactful the Dina Donkey Lips storyline actually was.
Yeah, I always thought that, I'm sure there was an age gap in real life, but I meant for the show, I could always see Donkey Lips and ZZ becoming like a married couple, because Donkey Lips had the big heart, and ZZ had the big heart as well. And she wanted to save the world, and Donkey Lips just wanted to make everybody happy and make everybody feel good. So in my weird recollection, I could see them like being a good couple. But you don't want to start doing that Friends type of activity from the TV show Friends, where everybody hooks up with everybody.
Wow. I'm just glad the series got a final episode. Because unfortunately, as much as everyone loved the show, it would end after the second season. This was due to a couple of reasons. First being that Nickelodeon wanted to move the show's production to Orlando, Florida, and the cast did not want to relocate as they all had lives in Los Angeles, California. The second issue was that there were budget and pay disputes with the cast's salaries. Third issue was that the creator Steve Slavkin actually walked off the show in protest of Nickelodeon's decisions regarding the show's staff and salaries. And that is how you stand by your crew. The last airing of any episode would be on June 7th, 2004, after winning the 25th anniversary You Pick live programming block. And speaking of awards, Heidi Lucas, the actress that would play Dina, would win an award for Best Young Actress co-starring in a cable series, with Michael Ray Bauer receiving Best Young Actor co-starring in a cable series. Since the show, the gang has had several reunions, such as the 2012 Kamikaze Expo, Everything Is Festival in 2015, and the ATX Television Festival. The entire cast isn't always involved at each reunion opportunity, as they do have busy schedules, but they do try. In our research, we were unable to find any VHS tapes, DVDs, or Blu-rays for sale of the series. Although it can be viewed on a couple of streaming platforms, they only have 10 of the episodes, but you can find a lot of them right here on YouTube. Some of these services do charge, but you can find them if you know where else to look.
Yeah, archives.org. I think you or somebody helped me out with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I managed to track down the whole series from around the internet over the years, although a lot of them are dubious quality. I'm pretty sure I actually have all the episodes, if not almost all.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have as well. I got like VHS like copies, because when the show came out online a few years ago, there was only like 10 episodes on Paramount Plus, and they were decent quality, but that's all there was, and there hasn't been any other updates or episodes. And I mean, you have to find the bootlegs and the VHS tape versions and the archive.org versions, and it's kind of a little bit sad to think about, you know, that
I'm pretty sure fans from pretty much everywhere would be super stoked if they ever actually decided to release them all, though.
I don't think they can. It won't make any money. I think Nickelodeon did that with Pete and Pete, like season 1, and some other shows like that. And it costs more money to print it and to make it than it actually makes. I mean, we were small shows. Whether you think we were big or not, we weren't. We only had an average viewership of maybe 100 to 250,000 on a good night. And, you know, most shows back in the days, like Wonder Years, because they were on prime time, they were probably getting like 7 to 10 million every episode. And we were, I think at one point we had like 300,000 viewers for one episode. And that's not a lot. But the shows nowadays that are even on prime time, like the CW, they're actually only getting like 400,000. And they're still getting renewed for season 2 or season 3. That's the way the world has changed in terms of content. But I don't think it's ever going to be on DVD officially. Unless these Vinegar Syndrome or these different companies that make movies somehow go into the Nickelodeon archives and are able to get them and transfer them and do what they do. I don't see it happening. So people need to realize, and you need to be fortunate when you find a bootleg on eBay or Amazon or wherever you find, you buy it ASAP, because I don't know what's happening with it. We have no clue.
Yeah, it's a damn shame, because I know here at the labs we'd buy multiple copies.
And there's a conspiracy theory around that. Like, do they have all the episodes? Because even when they were re-airing episodes like every summer or 2 summers, even up to 10, 12, 15 years ago, they were having the Nick Rewind or whatever they call it, like at night, and then every episode was Keenan and Kel for the most part. But then every once in a while, you'd have a Salute Your Shorts episode, and it was always the same 10 episodes. The same 10 episodes they have on Paramount Plus, or they sell on iTunes or wherever it is. It's the same 10 episodes. So you got to start to think, did they lose the actual tapes? Are they in the actual archives? Because if they're going to start Paramount Plus, they're not just going to pick 10 episodes and put them on there. They're going to put all the episodes on there so people will buy Paramount Plus even more. Or they're going to delay it. They're going to have 10 episodes when Paramount Plus opens. Then a year later, add another 10 episodes or whatever. And we only did 26. So you would think they'd put them all on there, and they didn't. So I have to have a conspiracy that they don't have all the episodes. Or, I mean, the writer, the creator left the show before it ended. They had contract disputes. We did have the editing facilities in our building. I'm just saying, did he own some of the tapes? Are there contractual problems with some of the actors where they need to repay the actors, where the contract's good? That's why they can't re-air them, because maybe the contract wasn't able to be re-aired, 15 years later. I don't know. But there's definitely a conspiracy or something happening behind the scenes that we don't understand. Because why are not all the episodes at least on Paramount Plus?
I don't know. They should be. It's
Correct.
a total waste that they're not.
If they're going to release 10 of them, release them all. There's only, 16 more? I have no clue. So that's what I'm trying to say. I don't even know if they have them. Maybe they had a fire in their archives, at MTV or wherever, or when they moved facilities or something. Maybe they lost the tapes or something. I don't know. So get your bootlegs or wherever you can without any remorse, because
you heard it here from the man himself, and I'm going to let those words speak for themselves. But I really do wish they'd put it out on DVD or Blu-ray.
it ain't that big of a show. You know what I mean?
In the year 2026, you can actually find a bunch of Camp Anawanna and Salute Your Shorts merchandise on sites like Amazon or eBay. There are t-shirts, stickers, sweatshirts, a tumbler, prints, and a whole slew of other items, and that was just to name a very few. Now, I'm not sure of the status of the website as of filming this, but you can get t-shirts and other cool stuff like prints, autographs, and other memorabilia over on HeyBauer.com. It's Michael Ray Bauer's personal site, and you know what? I suggest you go there to support the artist himself. And hey, Mikey, before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. It was a real honor. It's definitely a bucket list item, and it was almost like a dream come true, and we're really glad we could have you.
More like this in the future. I'll gladly do an Evolution episode. Just let me know, man.
Oh, hell yeah. You heard it here first. Mike will be back. So everybody head on down, tap that subscribe button, and turn on notifications, because I told you we were cooking up some really cool stuff. And I, for one, am glad we crossed paths.
No, you're awesome, brother.
Thanks. That actually means so much. And if you want to support Michael Ray Bauer and show some love, you can find his channel right here on YouTube at Hey Bauer or at HeyBauer.com. So be sure when you get there, you tell him Macabre'Gorium Labs or Bats sent you. But now let's wrap up the video. I have been waiting so long to make this episode, and it has been such a huge delay. There's some behind the scenes stuff I'll share with you guys later on about why it took so long. It's almost a comedy of errors. It's so funny. But none of them problems are Michael Ray Bauer's fault. We had a blast. He's a real cool guy, and I'm really glad we got to get to know him. And I can honestly tell you that at this point, he's a friend of the channel and a personal friend of mine. Anyway, this show was so much fun when it was on. I don't really know why more people didn't watch it. And this is probably one of the episodes like You Can't Do That on Television, which was one of the two things, that and this were the two things I wanted to make the most when we started talking about Nickelodeon shows. So I'm so glad this finally come to light, but now you know what I think. I've just gotta ask. Were you a fan of Salute Your Shorts? If so, who was your favorite character, or what was your favorite episode? If not, what was your favorite childhood snack, toy, show, cartoon, movie, or other memory? Did we forget anything, get something wrong, or leave something out? Do you have a suggestion for a future video, or maybe just want to drop in and say hi? Either way, feel free to head on down to the comments, because as usual, most of the time, we look forward to hearing from you. Okay, well now, I have to ask you the hard-hitting question. Probably the most important question in this whole interview. I have to ask, and I'm sure people are dying to find out. Fruit Loops or Tricks?
Tricks are for kids. Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops, my man. And unfortunately, with that, we've come to the end of a very special Macabre'Gorium Labs showcase of things likely forgotten Nickelodeon edition video. Big shout out to Michael Ray Bauer coming on the show. It was truly rad getting to know you, hear some behind the scenes details, and I can honestly say I'm glad you're a friend of mine and a friend of our channel. Hopefully we work together again in the future. Anyway, I've been your host, Bats, and I hope you had a good time on today's show as we talked about Salute Your Shorts, this thing you came apart. And with that, hey Mikey, you want to sign us out? I'll see you in the next one. I'll let him take care of it.
Think for yourselves, be excellent to each other, and keep it creepy.
Dang, thank you all for sitting through this video. It was so much fun to make, and Michael Bauer truly is awesome, and he has a lot of really cool content, so go check that out. Big shout out to Corey for helping us with the music. Link to his stuff down below. He specifically made the track you're hearing just for this video, painstakingly. And he did an awesome job, so check that out as well. There is a full version of the interview over on our Patreon, and it's got a lot of stuff that we didn't want to put here on YouTube. And we're also going to put an abridged version of that here on YouTube too. And before I fully sign out, I want to send a big shout out to our patrons: Corey Backus, Viking Woman, Bill, Matt H, Boss Mike, Joshua H, and Woodstock. You guys are freaking rad. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Be sure to hit subscribe because you never know what we got coming out next. And trust me, we got some pretty big plans. Keep it creepy, everybody.